The truth is, the queer friendships that you have in your life can either affect your life in the best ways or the worst ways possible. There's really no guidebook to creating healthy queer relationships and friendships in general. That's why we do what we do, right?
Hello, and welcome to Coming Out Happy, everyone.
You made it. You made it to where we actually try to dissect these different pieces so that we can understand what is required of a healthy queer friendship. You ready?
I think I've been ready for this one.
I've been ready for this one too. It is so important. We both have been hurt. We both have been creating friendships, and we're ready to talk about the most important things that you need to hear today.
But really, we're breaking it all down because what we do at Coming Out Happy is help you, cultivate a greater sense of well-being, growth, and happiness as a queer adult. And friendships is something that Keely and I haven't discussed yet, but this is what we're here to talk about because this is obviously a part of people's lives, and queer community is so important. So before we get into it, I'm Dani, and this is Keely.
Sorry, I started coughing. We're all good.
Are you okay?
You keep going. I'm good now.
I'm Dani, this is Keely, and I'm a certified life coach. Keely is a certified somatic attachment therapist and an EFT practitioner, and we are the founders of the world's leading queer wellness company, Coming Out Happy, and we are here to help you create healthy queer relationships, a healthy life, create the best life possible, prioritize your well-being through education, coaching, and community. So this is a topic we are so excited to talk about today.
Oh, yeah. Before we get into our main points that we want to talk about, do you want to touch a little bit on what queer friendship means to you?
Sure.
I put you on the spot, but yeah. I'm sure you're going to put me right back on the spot, so I'll be thinking about it.
I think this whole conversation that we're going to be having is really around our experiences because there has never been education on what it looks like to have healthy queer friendships. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a lot that you can Google about queer friendships.
Or just friendship, but that doesn't really apply.
Yeah, and honestly, people's versions of friendships look completely different if you ask one person versus another. Queer friendships, to me, are all about cultivating community. It's where you can be yourself. It's where you can understand yourself better. It's where you can redefine what love looks like in different ways. That's what it means to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What does it mean to you?
Well, I think I'm fairly newer to queer friendship, and for me, it's been a place to connect on, a shared experience, but also to grow together and to have, similar goals and want to just spend time together. And I think one of the coolest things about queer friendship is that even though there is the potential that you maybe could be together, right, because you're both queer, and not just because you're both queer, but maybe there could be some attraction or whatever it is, you really just get to show up as yourselves and be there because you want to be friends, not anything more than that. And there's nothing else tied to it besides showing up and being authentically yourself. And I think that is one of the coolest things, when someone genuinely just wants to spend time with you because you get to be you and you're not sexualized or, put in a romantic way. Mm-hmm. I don't know, that just came out for me, and I really feel like it definitely resonates with what queer friendship means to you. It's not a romantic partner, but someone that also understands your identity.
Yes, and again, friendships can look different for you versus for us.
This is our experience.
Yeah, it looks different for the both of us as well.
Yeah.
And we're always navigating that. But something that I also wanted to talk about is I've had queer friends for a very long time already, and I wanted to talk about a few of the reasons why I see queer friendships fail. Because I don't think this is also talked about enough. Like, when you scroll on TikTok, you see people being messy in their friendships and just dating all their friends. Mm-hmm. And that's fine if that's what you want to do. But I created a list of a few things that I've seen go wrong with platonic queer friendships. So let's dive into it. All right, so the first one, there is no understanding of what each person actually needs from a genuine friendship, and there's no communication between the people about what it is that they need.
One of the reasons this happens so often is that people think that you should only communicate if you're in a romantic relationship and have more of those serious conversations of, well, what do you need? How can I support you better? But those conversations can also happen in your friendships.
Yeah. But also, a lot of the times, we just did a podcast on this, there's no boundaries because you may not know your own boundaries.
Yeah.
And so the issues that you may be having in romantic relationships may also be pouring into your friendships as well. If
you're struggling with boundaries in any area of your life, it's probably showing up in every other area.
Yes.
That's just the truth.
Yeah.
It all pours in.
Okay, let's dive into number 2 because I love talking about this one. This is probably one of the things that both of us have struggled with at least one time or many in our lives.
Are we really talking about this?
Oh, I think we have to. We got to cover this. All right, number 2. One of the friends confuses platonic and romantic feelings, and at least one person doesn't want to move forward in a romantic relationship. So the relationship could be broken because one person may not want to move forward if the other person has romantic feelings for them and breaks that platonic intimacy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anything you want to talk about on that?
Yeah. I've been the person on the other end of that where I was looking for friendship and the other person was not. And honestly, it was something that really hurt me a lot. I haven't talked a whole lot about this yet, but I think I'm ready to because I think it's very important. And I think you all should hear from maybe this perspective too.
Because you may also be coming from the perspective of like, I love my friend, I have feelings for my friend, but there's another side to it of someone that is looking for just a friendship.
Yeah, I think when you establish that in the beginning and someone's feelings change, it can be one thing if you're not in a relationship, but I think it's another thing when you are in a monogamous relationship and someone shares that with you and ruins the friendship. For me, it's very important that I have people around me that support me and truly do want to be my friend. I'm, in a monogamous relationship with Dani, and my loyalty and commitment is to her. Doesn't mean I can't have deeper emotional connections with other people, but anything romantic is out of the question. That's just not happening for me. That's a part of our boundaries in our relationship. That's what we want. And someone had shared with me that after a period of time that they had feelings for me and wanted to continue, being my friend. And for me, that was a hard no, because the fact that I felt like they were seeing me through a different lens the entire time in our friendship, and they had shared that of having feelings for me, made it really, really hard for me to feel like I could show up as my authentic self. Because if I was already showing up as my authentic self after communicating my boundaries and they still took it that way, I'm not going to feel safe or comfortable to show up as my authentic self, because everything that I do could be perceived as something more or not being a part of the friendship. And I felt very betrayed. I felt very betrayed because I had communicated my boundaries and they weren't respected. And it was really, really sad because I felt like I really connected with this person, and I felt, like we were having a lot of fun together, and I missed out on a continued friendship because they ruined it by having feelings for me. And I think, feelings can come up and they can happen, right? But there's another part that when you have boundaries with yourself, you're able to separate that and say, hey, I know that maybe I have feelings for this person and I want to communicate that I need to take some space. But the way that this was communicated was not the way of I respect you, blah, 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 this, that. It really felt disrespectful. And obviously none of us can help our feelings, but at the same point, knowing that someone's in a relationship, you should respect them and understand what it is that they need. And that's really, really important. And yeah, I was definitely hurt by this one, being on the other end of pouring into something platonically and it not being so platonic on the other end, and just feeling kind of disgusting. I think that's what I felt a lot of, being someone that's more feminine, feeling like I was sexualized again, feeling like there's stereotypes between who I can be friends with and who I can't be friends with. I think a lot of gender plays a role in this for some people, and it's hard to feel that way. And so I've had to work through a lot of, I can still be who I am and I can still show up as I am and be the caring, loving person I am, and I present more feminine. Obviously, maybe not today if this is how it depends on what you think is feminine, right? I'm going to catch you there. But you know what I mean? So it was really, really difficult.
We're breaking through stereotypes, though. I just want to say that it's not all of these situations that you've been through, that I've been through, aren't about stereotypes. Like, we're not the ones struggling with that. We're breaking free of it. And yeah, just, you can continue your story. I don't want to say, like, that people who identify a certain way can't be friends.
No.
With certain people.
And I've had to work through that on my own, because my first thought was, oh shit, like, maybe I shouldn't be friends with more masculine people. But at the end of the day, I'm allowed to be friends with whoever I want to be friends with. And if I communicate my boundaries and they have boundaries and they communicate their boundaries, we can be friends. That's the truth. And I just really struggled in this specific friendship. And it was really, really hard. It really hurt. Still, sometimes comes up in my mind and something that I have to work through. And I know that I learned a lot from it. I know I learned how to speak up way more. And sometimes I think I recognize that friends, any person that comes into your life is here to show you something, to help you learn more about yourself, to help you grow. And for that, I'm thankful. But other than that, it was a really, really hard situation to be on the receiving end of someone who has feelings for you when you just want a friendship so badly.
Yeah.
So.
And on a different end of this, for a different perspective, maybe you are someone who's confused about your own feelings towards a friend. Is there anything that you wanted to say on that?
Yeah, I think, if you are confused about your own feelings, maybe asking yourself, hey, is this something that I can work through? Do I want to continue the friendship, or do I feel like I can't be friends with this person at all because I have feelings? Really asking yourself that question, working through it maybe with other support that you have, or, journaling or questioning yourself, and then coming to a place where you figure out what is best for you. When you decide what is best for you, and then you think about, okay, how will this support both of us? Because at the end of the day, you choosing what's best is best also for the other person. Like, truly in your heart of hearts, knowing that if you can't maintain a friendship with this person and that's truly what they want, maybe you need to walk away, right? Maybe you need to decide what it is that's going to be best. I think one of the things that I heard and I stick with all the time is that if it's not self-loving for you, it's not self-loving for anyone. You're not benefiting anyone if you're keeping this from yourself. Because the part that I didn't mention is that my friendship started to change towards the end because the person that I went through this with couldn't handle what they were experiencing and didn't communicate. And I felt uncomfortable, and I felt unsure, and I felt unsafe, and I felt judged, and all of these things that came up because they weren't able to communicate. So I think if it's communicated earlier on, and it's communicated when you feel, it's time, you're able to prevent maybe some of the heartbreak and hurt that comes from just feeling betrayed and feeling like you were in the dark and feeling like you were confused. And I know feelings are confusing, but at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, what is it that I want? Do I want this person in my life? Can I work through this on my own and, decide that, hey, I'm only going to continue a friendship with this person if I know I truly can? That's the thing, is that each person has to be honest with themselves in queer friendships. I didn't know we were going to go so deep into that one, but
no, it's a part of your story. We have different experiences in our friendships, and it's important that you tell yours.
Yeah, if you're resonating with this and you feel like you have
I
questions,
wonder how many
go
people
deeper.
have been through your side, because honestly, I feel like more people have been through the side of, I feel like I have feelings for my friend and I want to communicate it, but I'm afraid to lose the friendship.
Yeah.
And many times what we've seen is that it may not be the romantic feelings that you think it is, and maybe it's just out of
someone cares about me, and I think I like them, because I know I've definitely been there. I mean,
we've all been there, right? When you're struggling in feeling like the only one, and you're looking maybe at a young age, or maybe you just came out, or maybe like you're coming out later in life, and you're just trying to figure out who to date. It can be such a confusing journey.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, it definitely can. And, you have to look at your own experience too. My own experience was when I started exploring my queerness is that my friends and teammates became my partner. So when I look at that, friendship was very confusing for me because they were friends and then I dated them. So looking at your experience with friends, what did that look like? Your experience with dating, looking at maybe if you grew up in religion, what was the hierarchy of how things were sorted with friends and partners, and how did that show up? There's so many factors that can play into this, and it's so important that we get clear on what it is that we want now at this point in our life.
Yes. I want to move on to the next reason why we see a lot of queer friendships end. And the next one is at least one person gives up their friendships when they enter a romantic relationship. We have literally seen this thousands of times in our own friendships and in the world. It is on TikTok constantly. oh my gosh, please stop giving up your friends just because you're in a relationship. Yeah. Again, this all goes back to boundaries and self-respect and individuality. What we have seen so often is that people are so willing to give up their own needs constantly just because they want to maintain a romantic relationship.
Yeah, for sure. I think that specifically with the new friendships that I enter into, a lot of them, actually, it's really interesting. The people that I'm now attracting into my life, they want to, one of the things they've struggled with is that their friends have, left them and totally forgot about them because they entered into a new relationship. And one thing that I always communicate with people that I'm becoming friends with is that for me, it's really important that I have an individual friendship with you, and I always want to make time for that. Of course, it's important that I involve Dani in my friendships, and, that comes at some point that we've decided at a point in our journey where we both feel comfortable with that. But at the same time, I'm communicating always that I want to have a friendship with you. I know I'm in a relationship, but I also make time for my friends because I think they're equally important to a romantic relationship and really, really matter.
Yep.
So.
Love that. All right, the next one. One or more of the friends doesn't have the capacity, the skills, or the tools to show up authentically and confidently. And this usually comes from people who identify as people pleasers. Usually the people that we work with are so focused on making other people happy, making their friends happy, giving up all of their own needs. Again, as we've gone through this whole entire list, it all goes back to the same things. When you don't have the energy, the capacity to hold space for other people, you are not able to show up authentically, you're not able to give your energy in a positive way, and it just ruins these relationships over and over again, romantically or platonically.
And I think that's what happened for me, right? It's that this was such a non-communicated thing, and maybe this person didn't know how to communicate it, and it just led on and on and on, and it got to this point where it felt like I was betrayed because I didn't really know who this person was at the end of it because it felt so confusing. So I think when we are honest with ourselves, when we are authentic with ourselves, that is when our relationships will thrive. And when we're not, they fail every time because you're not really getting to know the real person. If someone's just agreeing and mirroring every single thing that I'm saying, I don't want that. Be your own person.
This also may be you right now, the person who is struggling with people pleasing and struggling to show up, and you want to create these relationships. You want to cultivate these friendships.
People want the real you. Like, trust me, I've been there on the other side of, I've been on both sides of people pleasing and then also someone people pleasing towards me. People want the real you. It is so much more amazing and exciting when you can show up as yourself and bring your experience and maybe disagree with things and agree with things and just be you. People genuinely will want to be your friend because you are you. And I just want to encourage anyone who feels like they hold back in their friendships to show up more authentically. It makes the world of difference. It helps people not get hurt. It helps boundaries. It helps everything. And I'm speaking from someone who has been hurt. This is coming from someone who has truly been hurt in friendships because of this. Show up as yourself. People need more realness, more love, more connection.
But you can't do that if you do not have the capacity. And one of the best things about queer friendships, like we were just talking about at the beginning, is that there is no rule book on how to navigate these friendships. Trust me, we've looked, we have tried.
There's a lot of layers. Like, even just the situation we were talking about. I mean, you could be in a poly relationship, right? We're in a monogamous relationship. It could have to do with gender and how that's showing up for you. It could do with your past experience. It could be so many different things, and your situation is completely different than mine. Mine was my own experience, and there are so many things that can show up in your relationships when we talk about this. So just know this is one situation. Yes. But here's what we can all do.
Well, what I was about to say was that because there's no guide, we all get to write the script however we choose of how we want to rewrite our own friendships, how we want to navigate life, because there is no expectation of who we should be in any of these relationships. And this is what Keely and I have been so focused on navigating, is helping you understand not just what queer friendships look like not just bonding because you have that shared identity, which is still an amazing thing, but to cultivate healthy queer friendships. So from my experience, I know we talked a little bit about you. A lot of my friendships in the past have been having conversations around drama or going out and partying, talking about the messiness of relationships. A lot of it is just focused on the unhealthy parts of what it looks like to be a queer adult. And that has taken a lot away from my own goals in life. I mean, this happened a long time ago, but I don't want, at this point in my life, after doing so much work, I am not here to just have conversations about partying and about going out. And you are probably like that too, where you're looking for a space that is not just focused on the messy drama on queer TikTok, and you're focused on cultivating real relationships, but maybe you're just not sure what that looks like. And Keely and I have always been so frustrated with the fact that we haven't been able to find spaces that aren't just about drinking and partying and messiness, because our mindset is around growth. It's around happiness and creating a healthy life for ourselves in different ways. And so if all you're focused on in your friendships, if what your friendships are based on is communicating about messiness and going out and partying and whatever, it may not be good for you. I mean, that's just the truth, you know?
Yeah, I mean, so we saw this as a major problem. If you actually think about the spaces that queer people actually get together in, it's
could
mostly
be just,
bars.
And online.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you see when you scroll on TikTok? It's just messiness. It's messiness, and it's not real. It's more about the stereotypes of, you know, what to do in your friendships and what being a queer adult looks like in your 30s and beyond. Like, it may not be what you're actually looking for. And so if all you're seeing is unhealthy friendships or relationships, that's probably what you're taking on and thinking is okay in your own life. And maybe you're seeing at this point that's not the life that you want.
Yeah. I think for us, we wanted a space where we could all grow together and we could all come together and make friendships where we truly got to know who people were and understood what is important to each other. And we're able to speak about our boundaries, and we're able to just grow deeper. There's so much connection that happens when you meet someone and they want to know about you and you want to know about them, and it's reciprocated and it feels so good. So guess what? We were like, this doesn't exist. So we created it.
Because the one thing that's been missing from these friendships is self-growth.
Yeah.
That's what we've seen. I've had so many queer friendships. I've had so many. One thing that I haven't seen in the past was talking authentically and confidently about the life that we're all creating together. So self-growth has been the thing that has been missing from these conversations and from the relationships that we're having, because it's not just about the conversations that you're having, it's the life that you're creating. So if all you're seeing is unhealthy things in your life, I mean, what else do we expect if that's all we see?
So you can check it out. It's called the Queer Happiness Collective, and it's really amazing to see our members inside of there come together and talk about important conversations. I mean, the other day we were talking about what's something in the last week that's brought you joy, and going back into those moments and revisiting positive experiences and cultivating conversation around the joy and happiness and excitement in your life. I mean, there's so many different topics that we are talking about every month, and I think what makes this community different and really what makes it stand out is that we've created a process for people to come in and not only just be in community, because that's one thing, right? You could just like join a community and it's a bunch of people getting together, but actually giving them tools and, you know, content around what it means to be in healthy relationships
and to heal.
Yeah, what it means to continue on your healing journey in community. The thing is that we heal in community. You may go to a therapist, you may do whatever it is and get that individual support, but if you're not healing in your queer community, that is one of the most important pieces that you may be missing. Having people around you that get you, lift you up, and want to have healthy relationships as well makes the biggest difference in your journey, and having people that are like-minded.
And something else that I wanted to talk about is that what we're creating at Coming Out Happy with the Queer Happiness Collective, with with our course, Pride Amplified, we're creating a movement around creating and cultivating a healthy queer life. Like, if I could say it in any way, it's creating your best life as a queer adult, and it's cultivating confidence, healthy community, because we've seen communities go completely the opposite way. When we're all focused on bringing each other up, it's very different than when we're all focused on bringing each other down and stuck. So this is a movement, and we want you to be a part of it around creating the best life possible. And it takes new skills, it takes new tools, it takes having people around you who are also focused on that same mission.
Yeah.
It's hard to do this by yourself. It's hard to feel like you want more for yourself if you're not feeling like your community, the people around you, are also on that same journey.
Oh, 100%. So every single person here that's listening, you need to go get the free trial right now, because you get to experience it today. Doesn't have to wait any longer. You get to experience it. I know that we're planning in-person things as well, so it's not just online, but you really have a community where I think some people have already met up inside of the membership, which is amazing. And people that really want to get to know you on a deep level and create friendships, and some even turn into romantic partners because they've created that healthy set of boundaries, and they've understood each other, and they've learned and grown with each other. And it's the most beautiful.
It's also if two people are agreeing.
Yeah,
of course. Of
course. It's not just a dating membership, but truly to build connections and see what blossoms from there. It's so beautiful. We want you to be a part of it. It's the Queer Happiness Collective. Nothing else like this exists in the world, and I'm so excited to bring this space to you because we wanted this. I know so many other people want this, and we need it. We have to stick together. We still have to stand together every single day. Marginalized groups, time to come together, be together, support each other, lift each other up, and do the individual work required to stand, to hold space, to show up, to give love, to understand more parts of yourself.
There are people out there like you who want to be better, who want to grow, who want to connect in queer community, and this is what this space is for.
Yeah.
So do not wait, because trust me, this is everything that Keely and I wish that we had, and we are creating it for you because we know the importance of healthy queer community.
And we have it now.
Yep.
We're all together in there, leading, growing, and learning. Here's the takeaways of our video today. Why queer friendship is important. Clearly, we talked about the many ways that it could fail and shared our own personal experiences of how it's failed in our own lives. We also talked about how we want to see queer people grow together, and where there is a world and community where we can have healthy friendships and we can have healthy connections because there's a framework, there's a structure, and we're implementing all of that every single day. So come join us in the description box wherever you're listening. You can get a free trial to the membership. It's called the Queer Happiness Collective. Best thing ever. I'm so excited by it. I can't wait to see how it transforms and transcends into all the things that we will do with it in person, all over the world. It's all coming. I know it's coming. It's happening. So be a part of the movement today and go join us. I can't wait to meet you, get to know you. Every single month we're doing a live Q&A in there, so you can ask all your questions.
Especially questions about friendships, because that's what we love to talk about.
Oh, yeah. So can't wait to see you. Can't wait to get to know you. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.